So we're just going to go through. There's like 34 questions. Some of them are doubled up, so I'll skip.
Okay.
Well, the first one's really hard. It's like your name.
Okay.
So-
All right.
Okay, so introduce yourself, your sport, and the class you ride in.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Denik Van Dal. Race cyclocross, raced road as well, and I race in the A category.
Cool. I'm going to get you to restart.
Okay,
Just
looking at
yeah. Yeah. It's because this is like...
I'm the awkward there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the shot comes up, shows you racing, and then it goes to you.
So, okay,
if you
perfect.
look at the camera, then you'll look creepy.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do it again. Introduce yourself, your sport, and what you ride in.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Denik Van Dal. I race cyclocross, road as well, and I race in the A category.
Awesome. Can you list some of your achievements, like your titles?
Yeah, so some of my achievements were actually U23 national champ for cyclocross, participated in 2 World Cups and World Championship for cyclocross at U23 level.
Awesome. Now, how did you first get started?
First started, I was probably 17. I actually started by riding my bike over to my aunt's house to paint her, or aunt's boyfriend's house to paint the fence, and thought, that wasn't long enough of a ride. So with that money, bought myself a road bike, and then kind of started from there. And then cyclocross just kind of fell upon in the season as a September kind of thing to keep on going. So bought myself another bike, and then from there just kind of grew.
Now, how did you get to where you are now?
Mostly through Team Manitoba. So Team Manitoba, JR coach, he did a great job bringing us out of town, racing down in the States. It's the only way to really get results. And then from there, if you get some results, we move on to either East Coast, West Coast, and that's where the bigger teams are. Sign with one of those teams, and then you get to travel North America and race out there.
Awesome. You're doing great already. Just so you know, when I'm looking down, it's not because I think what you're saying is boring. It's because I'm trying to see if you're checking off other answers while I'm going to say this time. Now, how are you supported? Like friends and family, what do they feel about your sport?
Yeah, I've been supported the whole way. Really, Dad passed away about 3 years ago in 2015, and then from there, the family just kind of and friends just kind of helped me completely. They really jumped on the wagon, and even before that, they've always been helpful. And yeah, really just helped me pursue my dream. Right now, I'm actually kind of on the downswing of the racing. I've decided to focus more so on cyclocross instead of the roadside, where roadside was my primary. But once again, they're still supporting me in whatever option I take.
Awesome. Now, how do you feel about, you're out there and you're on your bike all the time. How do you feel about a little bit of the risks? You're getting off your bike and going on these trails. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, obviously there's a huge risk to that. Thing is, when it comes to race time, if you're thinking about that, guaranteed you're not going to win the race. You're not taking the risks that you need, especially going into the last corner or whatever it is, or taking a sketchy corner. You just have to believe in, well, first yourself, and secondly your tires, that they're going to stick to the ground and bring you through the corner. Otherwise, if there's any fear instilling in the head of you, you're not making it.
Nice. Well, not nice, but good answer. Nice, you're gonna die. Oh, wait, make sure my phone's off. That's embarrassing. Now, what's a learning experience that's made you a different rider?
Ooh, good learning experience.
We can come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can re-ask.
Yeah, we'll re-ask that one.
Sure,
I'll,
come back.
yeah, please. Thanks.
Yeah. Now, tell me about you're out there, obviously, you'd have to be headless to not realize there's a physical part to this.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the mental side of it.
Yeah, huge mental side to this sport. Whatever discipline it is, mountain bike, cyclocross, road, it's a painful chess match. That's what it is. You got to be aware of, mentally how many matches you're spending throughout the race. You got to be smart about it. And also the big thing is, it's a game of poker faces. You try to read your opponent, and you try to keep as straight of a face as possible. And if you show any weakness, that's where they pounce on you, and kind of lose the game.
Awesome, that's cool. Now you may have already said it right there, but what do you love about it?
Oh, the pain. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Almost, in a way, I guess. Would you say massage? No, I'm thinking of the word in French. Yeah, we'll keep it going.
Yeah. We can start again. I'll ask it again.
Can you also pull that light just towards me?
Oh man, you're so high maintenance. Good?
A little bit more close to you.
Oh, to me.
Yeah, perfect. That's better. Sorry.
Are you trying to say masochistic? That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, masochist. I'll just skip that word and just
Yeah.
throw in another synonym
Yeah.
so that I can properly do
Okay,
that.
So, what do you love about it?
Yeah, for sure the pain side of it. Obviously the cheering too. The cheering will really get you going, especially on the grandstand here at Darkross or anywhere really going up a tough hill. That really gets you off the saddle and up the hill. And the biggest thing is it's a big community. Everyone's there to cheer you on. There's no one kind of throwing negative comments, so it's always a positive environment to show up to.
What are the perks of the pain?
Perks of the pain: fitness. Next race, you're faster. The other perks, I mean, I don't know. I'll just stay with that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Forget about it quick though.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what's going through your mind when you're going around?
Not much, actually. You kind of get into a rhythm, to be honest. Yeah, there's the pain, but that pain kind of subsides, and you actually just start thinking about the course. You think every corner itself, especially in cyclocross, is changing every lap. So you're kind of reading the lines of the course. But apart from that, towards the last lap, that pain really instills. But apart from that, you're just looking at what's changing in the course and making sure that you're taking the cleanest line to conserve as much energy.
Now, are there any misconceptions about your sport?
No, huge misconceptions about this sport. I mean, obviously there's a whole doping side of things. I mean, I'm sure it's still there, but I think, with our generation, it's really swapped around, and, we try to push out anyone that talks about the doping side where, back in the early 2000s, it was, if you weren't doing it, you're out of the sport kind of thing. So, yeah, it was a total 180, and we're super happy for that. I mean, no one wants to be associated with someone that's taking the drugs.
How was that struggle? Like, when that happened, like, what did that do to the sport?
To the sport, I mean, it was still early on that I wasn't even part of the sport yet. It was early 2000s, but, it pretty much perfect example is, not to bring this up because it's pretty mainstream, but the Lance Armstrong. It just kind of went downhill from there, and I'd even say right now it's still, the sport of road cycling itself is still kind of on the struggling side. It's tough without any sponsor. If you don't get the sponsor, you don't get the money. You don't have a team, you don't have any riders, no one to pay you. Yeah.
There you go. Now, I got lost because you were saying was interesting. What advice would you give? What kind of advice do you give to other people, like, about the sport?
Yeah, I mean, the best advice I would say is obviously keep it fun. I mean, if it's not, once again, pretty mainstream thing to say, but if it's not fun, what's the point of doing it? It's going to be, that pain should hurt so good kind of thing. It should be fun at the end. Yeah, it hurt, but you should have a smile on your face. If you're just feeling like you're slugging away at every time you jump on the bike, maybe it's time to think about it or take a break or something and move on. That'd be about.
Now, what are some of the challenges you've encountered?
Some of the challenges. For sure, 2 years ago, I had a bad injury with 2 knees. I was out almost the whole season, struggling to actually find a contract for the next year. Last minute, was able to sign with the same team again. That kind of was close to a breaking point for me, actually. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue. There's a few nights where I kind of sat in bed and, thought maybe it's time to move on and just kind of stop the racing.
Now, what does your work ethic look like?
Work ethic. I try to go as hard as I can. There's something in the back of your mind saying that if you're not, if you're going hard, someone else is going harder than you. So you try to be that person that, that person's thinking of. So.
Now, what's your approach to training?
Approach to training. When I'm very serious, it's pretty diligent. I try not to skip things. If I do skip things, it's, talk to the coach about it. I like to be, serious but also fun about it. If, there's a group of people going out for a ride, I'll go out with them instead of doing those intervals. I can just change those up throughout the week. It's pretty easy. You'd rather ride with a group than you just riding alone.
So this similar question, just follow up on that. How is training for this sport different than any other sport?
This sport's a lot of quick acceleration kind of things. Intervals aren't very long, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You may get some longer ones, but it's a lot of punchy, as you'll see on the course tonight, that it is very punchy in the corner, out of the corner, accelerating, whereas road is very long, especially with the hills and everything like that. You'll get 10, 20-minute hills that you're just looking for sustained power. This year is just a punchy kind of race.
Now, who do you encourage Who do you encourage to try the sport?
To be honest, everyone. There's no one that shouldn't try it. I mean, as far as that goes, very inclusive. The best thing is that it's on a circuit, so no matter what, everyone's cheering you on. It's not like you're left behind on a road course. You're still going through the lap, and everyone's still cheering. Who cares? First place, last place, whatever it is, we're still here to cheer.
Nice. Now, we did that one. How do you stay motivated to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, Manitoba, to be honest, it is pretty tough to stay motivated. Just take a look at our terrain. It's pretty flat. But, I mean, I think it's the community that keeps you motivated. I mean, especially with cross and everything like that, knowing that everyone comes in, drives, some people drive an hour and a half from out of town, Morden, Altona, every weekend to come race. And yeah, that kind of motivates you to, stay in shape and, be at your best.
Now, I'll go back to that later because I sort of asked you that. But describe the feeling you get when you win.
Yeah, when it happens. Winning is pretty rare, but yeah, it's chills. And not too many words, actually. Yeah, it's just a big kind of flush of emotions kind of going through, and it's a fun feeling.
That's awesome. So when you finish a race, maybe that's better wording for it, what are you taking away from the course?
Yeah, when finishing a race, few aspects. Obviously, you try to take as many positives from the race, even if it was a crappy race. Try to take that and move it along to your next training or to the next race itself. There's no point really dwelling on, if something went wrong. You can't really change it. It's in the past. But as far as the course goes, yeah, you can really, play around with, like, I'll go a little geeky on you here, but on your tire pressure and all that, knowing that, it was a harder course or softer course, muddier course, maybe I should drop a bit of pressure here and there, kind of play with the tire pressure for the next race, see if that helps, getting extra grip, or if it's faster in the straights, slower in the straights, that kind of stuff.
So that's awesome. Like, I know you said geeky, but when we did the motocross thing, what I found interesting is talk about
the guts of the race.
Also, we'll get to that, but more so, what's the communication you have to have with your bike?
For sure. Yeah, a lot of communication. Obviously, you want it running at its best, especially for cyclocross. Somewhat like mountain bike too, is there's so many different conditions that you can race in. Dry, especially in the fall, there's dry, there's wet, there's sandy. So when that comes, obviously you're prepping your bike for the conditions. Obviously you hope that those conditions turn out to be the same that you forecasted earlier. There's different types of chain lubes that you can use. You can use a wet chain lube, a dry chain lube. That all affects on how gritty the chain's gonna, how much it's gonna soak up. And the other thing too is the different tires. There's quick, fast tires, so a lot less tread on it. So a little squirmy when it gets muddy, but really quick on dry conditions such as tonight. Then there's kind of an all-terrain tire. That gives you kind of a hybrid tire and, okay in everything. And that tends to be kind of a good choice of tire to take for most races here. And then lastly, there's the mud tire, and the mud tire is super slow in the straights, but keep you up in the corner and kind of slice through the mud.
Cool. Now, what sort of goals do you have for yourself?
Goals? Well, goals for this year for sure is I got accepted into the 2 World Cups coming up next weekend and the weekend after down in Iowa and Wisconsin. So, goals for me, I'd like to, obviously, racing in the World Cups there. If I could finish in a top 40 position, that'd be great against kind of top guys of the world. But yeah, those are the 2 kind of goals for this year. And then, if those go well, then I'll reevaluate the season and maybe push for something else. But for the time being, those are kind of the two goals.
What skill is the most underrated?
Skill that's the most underrated in this sport? Running. I think that's where you can lose, win or lose. I think, a lot of people, it's funny, it's part of, you should actually throw it into your training once in a while because, it's such a shock to your body, especially some of the run-ups. There's not too many. There's one run-up here tonight with the stairs, but some of the run-ups can actually be pretty nasty, and that just saps all the energy out of your legs. So, if you're not used to that kind of pounding on the feet, jumping off the bike and running, that can for sure lose you the race.
So if you could cherry pick skills to build the perfect, like I talked about building a robot rider,
right?
If you could build the perfect robot rider, what skills would you add?
Robot rider. Flawless runner. And I think, to be honest, best one I would say is probably being the best in the mud. As far as the mud, that's for sure, especially going out into some of the wetter races, especially in Europe and all that. 90% of their racing is all mud. So if you can be that 100% rider in the mud, you're winning almost 90% of the races.
Now, I only have 4 more. So how do you recognize your own weaknesses and get past them?
Yeah, own weaknesses. I mean, once again, that comes down to mental as well, right? It's tough when it comes to, especially if you're falling back. You can see the leaders in front of you. That's where things start to aggravate you, and that start making mistakes. So, I mean, sometimes that's where it is that I find my weakness is I start rushing myself instead of just kind of settling back into an own rhythm and trying to, slowly pick up the pace. I try to rush too many of the corners, and then that's where, mistakes happen and end up on the ground.
That's a good answer. Now, what have you learned about yourself through your racing journey?
Learned quite a bit. Learned that you don't have to, you can live out a suitcase for 8 months of the year and still be okay. Live with 1 t-shirt, 2 pairs of underwear, and a pair of pants. And the rest, all cycling goes. Doesn't take much to excite a cyclist as far as a bed. If you give them a comfy bed, it's pretty nice. And the biggest thing is probably gain a lot of maturity. I think, you grow up pretty quickly, especially when you're away from friends, family, for such a long period of time. You learn, start to grow as far as personality-wise, and really get to know yourself on the road.
Nice. Now, we started talking about this. What are some goals you have, like just short-term and then the long-term? Like, what does the future hold for you?
Yeah, I mean, short-term right now, I would say for goals is obviously these 2 races coming up for the World Cups. Long-term, undecided at the moment. I'm actually, once again, kind of slowly coming back on the cycling side of things. Just mentally, just wasn't ready to continue. We'll see how these short-term goals go. If they go really well, then maybe I'll push it to, further long-term. Maybe go to nationals this year. But for now, I'm actually long-term starting a new job, carpentry job. So I'm excited for that.
Nice. I think we're good.
Can you explain to someone who doesn't know what cyclocross is, what it is?
Yeah.
I did, but I was like, wait.
All right, yeah. So cyclocross is a pretty hybrid sport. Looks like a road bike, so 10 speed with drop bars. It's got thinner tires, kind of like a road bike, but it's got tread like a mountain bike. The course usually involves about 3-kilometer circuit that have stairs, run up, barriers, sand, grass, pavement, pretty much anything you can think of, mud. And yeah, you just race around typically for about an hour or so at the highest, and anywhere between 30 and an hour. And yeah, I mean, as far as the race goes itself, cyclocross, as far as the physical aspect, I'd say is the first 500 meters is like a full-on sprint. And then the next 55 minutes is suffering like you've never suffered before. And then your last 5 minutes is pretty much like you're dying finishing a marathon. It's pretty much what it is. You just go all out. That's where things start to get cross-eyed, tunnel vision. That's pretty much cyclocross. I'm not trying to push people away, but it's kind of what it is. And you'll realize, it hurts during the race, but at the end, you'll just have a huge smile on your face, realizing, it was a ton of fun.
And who are you racing for?
Racing for Woodcock Cycle Works, just a Winnipeg bike shop.
Awesome. Great. We're good.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect.
Mic's on? Is Mike's on?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So, as we did, try to repeat the question if you can, but if not, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're going to introduce yourself, your sport, what you ride in, and who you ride for.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Sure. Introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Your sport.
Yeah.
Obviously, and what you ride in, and who you ride for.
Okay. My name is Mitchell Kettler. I ride for Probaclac Da Vinci Pro Cycling Team out of Quebec, and I race cyclocross and road, and a little bit of mountain on as well.
Nice. Now, when did you first get started?
I first got started because of my dad. He was always into the cycling community, and I just basically I was. Let's start that again.
I'll ask the question again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't totally relax. It's all good. So, how did you first get started?
So kind of like every other kid who goes into soccer, I just went into biking, basically. I was 14 years old. There's this really cool grassroots development program called Kids in Mud, and my parents put me into it, and next thing you know, I love the sport.
Awesome. Now, how did you get from that kid to where you are now?
So from going from that kid to where I am now, it was from Kids in Mud to the provincial program, which is the development, and then high performance. And then it's kind of like applying for a job. You put out your resume, and hopefully you have the stuff that the people are looking for.
Awesome. Now, how does if you had to talk about your family or your friends, how do they support you in training?
In training, well, my friends and family, or my family supports me, basically because anything I want to do, they're always with it. So say I'm like, I kind of want to go out to Tucson for 2 months. They're like, why are you even thinking about it? Just take that leap, just believe in yourself type of thing.
Awesome. Now, how do you feel about, you're out there, how do you feel about the bit of risks that are out there?
The risks? Oh, there are always risks. I tend to be on the risk-taking side. I'm known for just doing crazy corners, doing crazy things, and it's come back to bite me a few times, but it's part of the sport.
Now, why do you feel like you have that power? Not who do you think you are,
yeah.
But I mean, who do you think you are that you can be risky?
Because I'm just kind of overconfident in a way, but also I'm so confident that I know that I'll get through the corner, basically.
Awesome.
I love it.
Now, what's a learning experience that's made you a different rider?
Learning experience. The learning experience that has made me a different rider is definitely crashing hard. It's like a wake-up call. Earlier this year, I crashed at a big race called Winston-Salem. I went down. It was a road race, and I went down at 65 an hour, and lost a lot of skin. Got a few stitches, and it's just kind of something where it's always in the back of your head when you start racing again, whether it's road bike or cyclocross. You're always like, am I really going to lose it in this corner, or are the people around me too close to me? It's just stuff that's always in the back of your head, and it ends up being a mental game.
Okay. I got into that answer and I forgot where I was. Okay, now tell me, as I said, you got to be headless to not see the physical side, but what's the mental side of racing?
Well, so the mental side of racing is just not putting your head into it. You got to take a step back, and you can't really feel anything, if that makes any sense. You got to be able to just know what you have to do, and your body will do it for you.
Nice. Yeah, so you're leaning into your training and just just by reflex. Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you love about it?
I love the technical side. That's my primary. I like going through the corners so hard that you can hear the grass ripping underneath and stuff like that.
That's cool. Now, what's going through your mind, as you're going around?
As I'm going around the course, it depends where I am in the race. Because me and Danick are so far ahead, sometimes it's thinking about the battles that I'm picking and choosing, and then also what I've messed up on and what I've not messed up on, in a way.
So are you racing? In some ways, would you say you're racing against yourself?
Oh yes, yeah. I definitely always race against myself. And it's a thing that is kind of a negative on my side, is I critique the race while it's going on. So say I have a terrible corner, sometimes I'll just get into my head where I'm like, oh, that was a terrible corner, but I know that I'll usually have another chance to nail that corner because there's 8 laps or something in a race.
Now, we talked about that. What are some common misconceptions? For example, a lot of people think certain sports are like, oh, you're just riding a bike.
Yeah.
What are some of the misconceptions?
Common misconceptions are, well, first of all, the sport of cyclocross is just no one knows about it. So a big misconception is when you talk about cyclocross and you're like, oh yeah, you have to get off your bike and run. You could see people's minds blowing up as you say that. And then people start thinking like, oh, how high is the fence? And you're like, oh no, it's just a little barrier, but you still got to get off your bike and run. And then next thing you know, you're in this huge conversation about cyclocross, and the person's wanting to come to a cyclocross race.
Awesome. Now, what advice would you? What advice do you give, like, other people who are curious about the sport?
I've had quite a few friends who have actually came up to me personally and were like, there's a cyclocross thing. I've seen it posted on your Instagram or something like that. Tell me about it. And I always say, well, the community is the best community by far. Out of the 3 disciplines that Manitoba has, road, mountain, and cyclocross, is by far the best community out of them. So if you're going to go into racing, go into cyclocross, and everyone's welcoming. There's a wide variety of categories, so don't feel like you have to train for it. Feel like you just want to go and have fun.
Now, of course, you talk about the community and how everyone's a close knit group. But I see you, like, when you get here. Like, people obviously know you. Yeah. But, like, how big is the responsibility, let's say, to your fans, to those people that are out there supporting you? If there's a little kid looking like, I want to be him. Yeah. What do you say to those kids?
Well, can you say that again?
Yeah, I'll reword it. How much of a responsibility is it to be a role model?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So being a role model, it's kind of something that I've done for many years, just due to, I think I've been an elite cyclist for 4 and a professional for 1. And it's just something where you're not very good at the start, but you get better and better. So now, the 5th year, it's something where you just have to be very enthusiastic about stuff. You just got to be the role model, more or less.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now, what are some challenges you've encountered?
Challenges I've encountered is definitely crashing, getting up from crashes, because that triggers the bigger thing of getting past anything mentally. And it's never the physical challenge, because you could put the hours in and your body will show you it, but it's the mental side that you can't blame. Like, no one sees it. You're basically by yourself in a way, and it's you against yourself.
Nice. Now, what does your work ethic look like?
Work ethic. My work ethic, is this for training or racing?
Let's say, both. Let's say training first, sure.
Okay, so my work ethic for training, if I'm in season, would be like 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, and I'll always put in 1 long ride, which would be like 5 hours, 160K. So it's basically like a full-time job, especially when you put in like the nutrition, the riding, the weights, everything. And but the best part is you have friends to do it with.
Now let's talk about your work ethic in racing.
Okay, so the work ethic in racing is it's fun because you get to pace yourself off of other people. You go as hard as you possibly can, and you basically just leave it all out. You shouldn't have any gas in the tank left.
Nice. Now,
gas left in the tank. Gas tank left.
We can fix that. How is training for the sport different than other sports?
Training for the sport is just quick accelerations, fast, punchy. The best thing for me is that because for a lot of people, they could just do one sport over and over and over, and they'll do it for like 3 years. The nice thing with cycling is you have 3 major disciplines that you could go into: road, mountain, and cyclocross. So even though my summers are filled with road and a little bit of mountain bike, it transfers over well, because once I get onto a cyclocross bike, I'm still on a bike. I get a little bit of the endurance from road, and I get a little bit of the technical from a mountain bike, and next thing you know, it's sandwiched in between, and I get cyclocross.
Oh, good fucking answer, sorry. I'm just thinking you edited, I'm like, oh man, that was... now, what are the elements of this sport that appeal to you?
Elements, the technical for sure, because I love that technical riding style, and definitely the fitness, like being able to come back week after week, see how you've improved. Maybe if you like switch up your nutrition or training regime, see how it's affected you. It's not just the machine that's doing the work, it's your body. So you see how your body, which is the machine, has reacted to your subtle changes.
Nice. How bad's that vibration? Not too bad. Okay, good. We'll just edit out everything he says and then just up the vibration. So he's just like,
I'll just my voice over it.
Yeah. I'm Darren. Now, we asked that. We did that. Now, talk about an experience of like if you're walking away winning.
Winning. Okay, so probably my biggest win was last year. I won my first professional race. I was a complete, what is the word for it? Yeah, underdog. Okay.
I'll ask you again.
Yeah.
Describe the feeling you get when you win.
So last year in 2018, I won my first professional race. It was in a style of racing called Criterium, under the road bracket, I guess you could say. And I won the Poco Grand Prix in BC Super Week, and I was a complete underdog. No one thought I would win, and it just came down to that technical riding ability where I came around the corner like
Just starting and I came around the corner.
I came around the corner and I was 5 meters back from the guy, but my technical ability of being able to corner at high speeds and just trust my tires, I ended up slingshotting and getting the guy by about 3 inches on the line. I didn't even know what to do because I've never won a big race like that before. I barely put my hands up. I didn't know if it was real. It was kind of like a euphoric, dreaming type of vibe.
Awesome. Do you mind? Now, talk about the feeling when you walk away with a loss.
No loss can be a bad loss because there's always things to take away from it. Even though you might be the guy that is the favorite, you just always have to be real with yourself. As long as you know that you've put your full effort into it, you can't really be upset.
Okay, I was like, that's not even a real clock.
No.
It's not 20 to 4. Now, if you could cherry pick skills to build the perfect racer, what would they be?
Oh, have no fear and good technical ability and be like a two-stroke engine, basically, just very punchy, go, 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 and that would be your perfect cyclocross racer.
What skill is most underrated?
Most underrated skill. The most underrated skill is being able to read the lines as they're changing. Cyclocross is a style of sport where if it's wet, the lines will change after every single lap, and the really good guys will be able to predict them.
Cool. Now, what have you learned about yourself during your racing journey?
Oh man, I have learned plenty about myself over the course of my racing journey. Definitely, man, how would I even say that? There's so many things.
Like,
hi.
Oh, you're fine. So, what have you learned about yourself through the racing journey? Like, maybe did you mature?
Oh yeah.
Did you things like that? You can sort of. I'm not
Okay.
giving you answers because maybe you didn't mature. Maybe you're still a child.
Yeah.
So, what have you learned about? No laughing. What have you learned about yourself during your racing journey?
So the major things I've learned about myself during my racing journey is mainly how hard I could push my body mentally and physically. It's not all on the bike. A lot of it is off the bike, and that's what people don't see, right? People see you putting hours of time into training, but they don't see like the struggles of maybe for me, I have problems sleeping at night. So going training the next day is sometimes hard, but I try and battle through it.
Nice. Now, if you could focus on one thing in the next year, what would it be and why?
My biggest goal for next year is to get on an American crit team, which is, again, a style of racing under the road bracket. It's more of a technical style, just like cyclocross, and it kind of goes hand in hand. And that way I can use basically all of the things I've learned from cyclocross and directly transfer it over into, use all the things from crit racing and directly transfer it over into cyclocross instead of having to mix match a few different disciplines and combine them together later on.
Nice. Now, we sort of did this, but what are some of your goals, like short term, long term?
Short term and long term. Short term goals are always to win a race, I guess. It's always fun coming across the line first, so why wouldn't that be a short-term goal? And then a good long-term goal would always just be to never stop having fun on the bike. As soon as it becomes a job, it becomes less fun. There's very few people who love their 9-to-5 job, so why would you want to put up with that if you're volunteering your time into this?
So someone calls you tonight and tells you Darkcross is, or you tell someone Darkcross is happening tonight,
Yeah.
and they go, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
What do you say? How do you describe your sport to somebody who's clueless?
How do I describe this? Oh man, cyclocross is a whole, can I describe Darkcross? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Darkcross is a weird mix of dance music, bike racing, fire dancers, fireworks, and usually by the time I get to fireworks, they're already saying, "Okay, I'm on my way."
Now, do you look at the sport? If you were describing the sport, is it something like is it an amalgamation of a few things? Is it like, and it only happens because all those elements are added in? Like, how would you break those down?
Yeah, I think the sport is just like an amalgamation of a whole different styles of cycling, and it has a lot of heritage as well. Originally in Europe, and kind of people just wanting more out of their road bikes. So next thing you know, they're taking them off road. They're challenging themselves, and that's kind of where we are now, where everyone is challenging themselves both physically and technically, and see who comes out on top.
Perfect. You're done.
Yes.
You both did great.
I forgot I even had this on.
Alan, can you please? What are you doing for skin suit or too hot?
Really, eh? Because Okay, that's fine. I got my bike.
There are no bottle cages allowed in racing. Bottle cages show weakness.
I thought you were wearing a skin suit. Oh, wrong guy. You're thinking Mike. Yeah. Because I told Mike that he needed to wear a skin suit. Oh, you're back.
What we usually say is if you have bottle
You looked a
cages
lot
on,
older. That's
then
why I
you're
thought
going
you were
into a
Mike.
training race. So you ain't training now.
Rich though. Yeah, you're rich. Is that the?
I have a 5
Please tell me about face land. What?
And then, and then I did with the
There you go. Now you're legit.
Yeah, now I'm legit.
Okay, tall.
Well, at least halfway there.
Yeah, that's what I would ask for. If you get,
Oh man,
if you have to do it again.
you getting ready already, boy?
Yeah, it's 8:30, man.
What time did you race at? 10?
10. But we're gonna have to jump onto the sports route though if we want to ride one more time.
We should probably go.
People do, yeah.
Well, at least it's basically just me against you. So if we both don't go, then it's equal. We disadvantage.
How cold is that without a shirt on in this?
It's freezing.
Just wait till you see what we're wearing in this. Then you're gonna be like, how are you allowed?
5 minutes after the race and you're having a beer with the food. Yeah. Good on ya.
You're riding with arm warmers tonight?
Good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
it's
riding
kind of
with
still
arm
summer out. It's nice.
Last thing you want to do is get sick for the season.
True.
First race isn't that big.
Okay.
Man, I thought Emma was going to sweep the series. Like not shit talking.
It's okay. She started slow last year and picked it up.
You know.
What's the tattoo?
Tattoos actually, so my dad had this tattoo, which is Saucony. And then, or the running brand, Saucony. And then this is actually the day he passed away.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, never finished the inside, too big of a wuss, so I finished it up.
Yeah, how was that? Probably hurt a little.
It hurt, yeah, it didn't feel good. Hey, Dave.
Too early for beer?
Is it too
No.
early? Am I getting my hand up on the run up or what?
I'll hand you up if you drink it.
I'll hand you
You crush it over your forehead.
Well, you know. They said we need some good footage, so. Is that going to be our handicap? Oh, man. Oh, man. Now I get the fun task of walking up there. Watch me just forget all my stuff. Oh, you got your bits?
Did you see me? Did you see me?
Oh my gosh, how are you?
Good. Maddie beat me though, so not very happy about
I saw that. Yes.
I know. It's the weight savings. I took the reflectors off.
Oh. Taking the reflectors off, eh?
It was the bike. It was the SpongeBob jersey. It was the SpongeBob jersey.
Clips. I'm gonna go clips next time. I'm glad I went clips.
I don't even have.
But it was good. I wish it was longer. Like,
Yeah.
You start getting into it.
Be back. Dropping down nudes. So.
Okay.
warm up to it. So by the second half,
You see me go down a few times on the backside? On the backside, I saw you go down once.
so you're racing now.
One pretty hard one, not the first lap I saw.
Yeah, the first lap I
Yeah. You went down really hard.
Yeah. The second time I was just a coward. I hit my brakes through the one wet section and just locked out.
Well, I got dropped in the foot.
Yeah. Running into the kids. He was
like he learned a lesson.
He was slowing the transition. Flipped his wheel with my front wheel.
I wouldn't mind some cold, but
Sticking around a few minutes just to see if the results come. Of course, but like,
When I pass, I might ring my bell.
there you go. Want to suck in?
yeah, let's check.
Okay.
35 front back.
There you go. No. Should have been like 30.
Hey, man.
Yeah?
Can you just shut the door there?
There you go.
Have a good race, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, they're on. Did you have bibs on already? It's hard packing for this. I had to get all the sponsor correct stuff. Yeah, I'm not used to it. It's out of season. Oh man. Probably gained weight after the road season. So.
Oh no!
There's a little bit.
How do you gain weight?
Oh, look how thin this is. It's like one of those morph suits you buy from like.
Back at the Grand Center.
You're so dumb. Oh man. See, I told you, armor. Oh yeah, you got armors on. Oh, and you got leg warmers on.
Well, to warm up.
Not bad. Not bad. Imagine how bad this would have been if they would have paired me and Nick together and we were arch enemies. Just no, we're good friends.
Gotta go.
There we go.
I was gonna say I've got only one number today.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
I'm just putting.
Yeah, just don't. If we're doing the same thing, don't put shoulders on. We'll both not put shoulders on. Oh, this is Dave. This was my first coach.
I was your first coach.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Still racing. He was the only person who stayed up for my professional win to watch it.
I did.
On the computer.
Yep. The first one to respond.
Yeah. Yeah. But unless you need those.
Oh, did Emma leave
Yeah, I think so.
with the bike?
Oh, she probably didn't leave with the bike. Is she using your spare?
She was. Yeah.
I haven't even played around with pressure yet. I'm going to be so screwed for this race.
Danny, I can leave my bike in there for you if you want.
No, that's okay.
You want to grow up
I
with
can
your
go fine.
and then leave your bike in there for you?
No, you just max out the seat post.
Little cracky of the frame, done.
That's warranty issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You got anything?
Ooh.
Alright, we'll just start throwing stuff out.
So Nick, do you feel pro now?
Do I?
Yeah.
Why?
With the cameras around?
There's nothing pro about this production.
Because I sure feel more pro than I've ever felt pro before.
We'll just pretend we're swimming in money.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's one. Where's my other glove?
Hey. How could you tell we were here?
I can sort of tell by the giant light.
Heavy, isn't it? Not fun.
Jeez.
Oh, are you racing with goggles on?
Yeah.
No.
Hey Mitch, do you have food by any chance?
No, I don't have any food. Do you have
Do you
food?
want? Do you have a bar by any chance?
Dave, you got 2 bars?
We can split it.
Oh, I have 2, but they're both organic. Sorry.
Do they have your secret sauce in them? Are we going to be able to finish this
Well,
race?
that's disgusting. Second, yeah.
Oh. Let me see this. Oh yeah, that's way too low. Let me check your bike.
Keep in mind that Betsugo is there.
Yeah, and you're also like 40 pounds
40
lighter than me.
pounds lighter than me.
How much pressure do you want in a tire?
So it depends on if you have clinchers or tubulars. So he has
140. Are you
tubulars.
running
So it's a weird design where.
Run around 30.
So this whole tube is actually, this is glue. So he has glued his tire to his rim, which seems ridiculous, but it's the best way to run tires. Whereas I have a clincher. So if you come over to my bike, so my bike, there is no glue. So there's like a hook and bead where this tire will hook onto the rim. So it's not as good. I could pinch flat. I have I'm running a very low-end bike today, and Nick definitely has the bike advantage, but
You also have a full season of racing.
I have a full season of
actually racing
the
and not
UCI tour, so we'll see.
Do these things like break down very often, or like they must last the?
Oh yeah. And if they break down, you run. I think it was like 2 years ago at this race, my bike broke down and I had to run half a lap. And then, like, you aren't really even in the race at that point, but you just want to finish, right?
Exactly.
So,
Cool.
why not finish?
All right, I guess you're ready to go.
I don't think I locked it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? Oh yeah. It's not even.
Were you working yesterday at Broadway?
No.
Man, there's a doppelganger over there. I literally thought it was straight up you working. It was like one of the lower restaurants. I was like, oh, it's out of It'd be real awkward to go over and like just past the whole line. Oh, okay.
How was that? That was fun. Yeah?
I won't be there better. Yeah.
Just having a good time. I just want to play this.
This kid. Hi, Mom. I'll meet you at the tent. At the front there. Okay, sounds good. See you soon. Oh, are they there? Oh, okay, sounds
I'm
good.
a big boy, so I'm always scared of
Okay, sounds good.
pinch flatting.
Okay,
So
bye-bye.
if I don't have enough,
if
I don't have enough air in my rear tire, it's not going to be the best race for
I'll
me.
keep the key actually with me. There's no worries. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
All good.
Okay. No.
So where are you guys heading to now? Just the staging part, or?
Over here. The course is now lit up, so we could actually see.
Okay.
I have decent pressure. I may still play around with it because it's pretty low. So we have a pit in the infield. It's a two-way pit, so we get to see it twice in a race. So if I'm doing practice laps, I'm able to, if I'm doing practice laps, I'm able to go to the pit, make a few changes. It's a really rough course because it's on a oval dirt track. So you always want to run a little bit lower pressure just so that your body doesn't get beaten up too much. But then at the same time, there's a wet spot on the backside where the concession kind of drains. And that's a section where Danick will have a lot of problems if he's not running enough pressure because his tire is glued. If he hits that hard enough and he goes sliding through the wet and then he hits dry, it's going to stick really hard and he could rip his tire right off. So he wants enough pressure where his tire doesn't rip off, but a little bit lower so that he has enough cornering grip, basically. Dave, do you have an extra bike for me?
There's a couple in the pit, yeah.
Sick.
I don't know
because
they're brodeurs.
Well, anything's an upgrade to this thing, but
we can probably sort something out.
Okay,
perfect.
All right, we'll see you there. Thank you.
Pit bike for the races that I go to.
We
see you.
So, how do you feel?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was good effort. You know, beautiful night for it. Couldn't ask for much more. The fans were there. Yeah, went quite nicely.
What did you had some? You switched bikes, right?
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Actually, going into the corner, I was lucky enough that it was the corner before the pits. I shifted up and my chain got caught between the chainring and the frame and locked it up. So luckily enough, I was just right there. I was able to kind of glide the bike in, and then they were right there with the bike. Yeah.
And how essential is that pit crew?
Oh, crazy. I mean, they did everything tonight. I can't thank them enough. I went in there a little frustrated, and I should have brought it back a little bit. They did so much, and I just can't thank them enough.
Now, what kind of race was that? Like, how in comparison? Like, that was one of your favorites? Was it fun? Was it
it's always a fan favorite. This one, I love this race to kick off the season. It's just a great way to start it. And then from now, we've got 8 more races, and just start on a high note and just keep it there.
Now you're out there with like varying ages. What is it like to see those people out there?
Oh, if I'm riding at that age, I will be pumped. It's incredible. It's quite humbling actually to see just such an age group and everyone just competing at the high level.
How was it like when you're out there and you're seeing, for example, Mitch got a flat? Like, how do you feel when that happens?
You feel bad, obviously. You never want that to happen to anyone. There's, depending on what kind of race, if it was higher end, like, if it was out of town, kind of out of province race, then that's where you kind of just pump it. Like, unfortunately, that's racing. It happens to anyone. But here it's just like, it's a nice community. It's hate to see that for anyone. Yeah, it's just a bummer.
So, how would you best explain your experience tonight?
Best explain the experience tonight. No wind, which is pretty nice. It actually, to be honest, apart from that one little mishap, it went quite smoothly. There's no spots that were too bad, and the fans on the run-up were for sure giving you that extra little boost on the last lap.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash talk and cheering, but like sarcastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of heckling going on, and that's actually part of the sport, I would say. It's always been part of the sport and kind of like that. You might have seen a few maybe hand-ups on the way up. Juice, food. Last year there's a piece of bacon. I mean, just part of the sport. It's nice to see, everyone doesn't take it too seriously.
Cool, we're good.
I noticed with the microphone out, you're hardly even breathing hard. How's that possible?
I don't know.
He's drinking.
I ran out of breath walking over here.
I don't know. I took a few minutes off. It's good. It's ready to go. Yeah, felt good.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
It's good to go.
I'm good.
All right. So, talk about how you're feeling right now.
Slightly disappointed, of course. I was first 4 laps, me and Danick were battling it out. It's really good. I always like staying behind him, just so he could set the pace. Sometimes I have pacing problems where I'll go out a little bit too hard. So if there's someone in front of me and I'm feeling it's a little bit slower, it's always better because you're battling for first and second, right? There's no place ahead you could really go. So I let him lead, and then
on the backside over there, I heard like a gunshot go off from my bike, and it was my tire blowing up. And then I was kind of timid for a half lap, and I guess it sealed itself because I have sealant in my tires. And then the next lap at the exact same spot, I hear another gunshot, and I put a little bit of weight onto it to see if it's gone, and it was gone. So I ended up running half a lap. I took this guy's bike. I have no idea who his name is, but I just took it from the stands in the pits, and yeah, I raced it. I had a good sprint with my friends, so there's still positives to look.
That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we noticed that was hilarious is there's a lot of like everyone's like, you suck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a good rapport, it seems
Yeah. So it's all about the heckling, right? Because it's basically the people who are doing that are comfortable enough to do it. Like every single person who is yelling at me, like being like, "Oh, you're slow. Where's your motorcycle?" Stuff like that. I know every single one of their names. And next thing you know, if you have a little bit of a break, like where Danick started to gap me a little bit, I knew that he was 20 seconds in front of me. I couldn't close that, and there was someone 40 seconds behind me, so I knew that they had a tough time. So every so often when I would come around that corner, I would heckle back at them. I'd get them back a little bit. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, what are you guys even talking about? Is this English? I can't understand you." Stuff like that, right?
Nice. So, when you're out there, what are you thinking as you're going around now?
Well, tonight, because I haven't raced in a month, this is actually my kind of like a down season, just because road season just finished. This is the start of cross. By the end of the cross, you've kind of built up your fitness, right? So this race was just about how much fun I could have. And I just remember coming down this start-finish straight, and I was just like, wow, this is how it is to race cross again in Winnipeg. And it's just something you miss every year until fall, and it was a good way to get back into it.
Now we're seeing people out there with this huge age range.
Yes.
Between, so who can do this?
Anyone. Like, at the start of the night, you saw the citizens race, some of them don't even have a race license. A race license guarantees you insurance. So these guys you could buy insurance just for the day and then come out and race. And obviously everyone's having fun. You saw how many people there were at the C race. It was insane. More than the A race, which is like the premier event. Like, if you come for the first race, you're getting more of a crowd. You're getting more noise. Like, why not?
What's your plan now? You're done for the night.
Go party. Yeah.
That was awesome.